Good morning again. And I think it's still just ladies here, right? Well, good morning, ladies. The divine feminine in the house, right? I am humbled and honored to be with you this morning. Before I get started with anything, I always like to take a moment just to express gratitude. So I express gratitude to all of you for receiving me, for the invitation. Thank you, Andy. I express my gratitude from my heart, of course, to the great I am, the divine source, to God, the universe, to all that is, because all that is all that I am and all that you are. So I'm grateful for being able to see the sunshine this morning and hear the birds. And I'm grateful to be able to walk down the sidewalk and feel the breeze. And just grateful to have the wisdom bestowed upon me and the gifts that God has given me and the gifts that God have given you this morning. So with that gratitude, I want to also just tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is, I'm known as CJ Henry. My name is Cynthia Henry, and I do live in Brazoria. I am a native Houstonian, and my journey has been quite unique, as all of our journeys are unique. I remember being a kid, always having just very different experiences maybe than some of the other children. Being a loner most of the time. By the time I got to high school, I was sure that I wanted to be a nun. I just knew that my calling was to be a nun, Didn't really know why. I just felt that is what I was called to be. Well, that didn't happen. Didn't get to be the nun. After I finished high school, I actually had applied to go into the covenant. Then my mom said, no, I don't think that's it. And so I didn't. So moving fast forward, my background includes many facets of religion, and my spiritual journey goes, through many facets. I have Native American in my ancestral lineage, which means that there were medicine men and women. I have some Pentecostal background from great-grandparents. I've worshipped with Baptists. I've worshipped with Methodists. I've studied with Catholics. Pretty much you name it, right? And then as I got older and matured older, I realized there was still more and more and more. There's always more, right? No matter what level you reach, there's always more. And so then I began to feel the calling to, God has blessed me with many gifts, as all of us. I am a seer, even though I cannot see as well as some of you, but I am energetically, spiritually a seer. That's one of my gifts. I do have a gift of mediumship, and this feels really liberating for me because honestly, this is the first time ever being in a morning worship service where I am able to express all of the parts of who I am. And so it feels good, and I thank you for receiving me with all of my gifts. So I do have, I am a counselor, intuitive counselor. I became an ordained Christian minister many years ago, over 20 years ago. I was ordained as a Christian pastor. I have co-pastored several churches. I became a certified Christian counselor. I became an ordained interfaith minister. I have several degrees, and all of these accolades mean nothing. But most of all, I have the love for God and God's people. And I have the love to help heal what is in the earth, from the children all the way to the elders and everybody in between. I believe that every man, woman, boy, and girl that come across my path, that we all have something energetically to share. And so if we would share those things that we're called to share with love, then that's all we're required to do. We're not required to water the seeds. We're required to just plant the seeds that we've been given. And that's my belief. I also am a doctoral candidate for metaphysics. I already have the bachelor's and done all the coursework and all of that. So I'm working on the final step of the thesis. And I just believe that even this meeting today was already ordained before any of us came into this realm. And I believe that because all of the different detours and the different paths and roads along my journey, as well as yours, allowed us to come to this place this morning for some specific reason. And so when we set our intentions from our heart to ask whatever we're expecting today, to know that it comes from a divine place. I'm just the vessel, just the channel. And my intention today is to encourage, to help uplift, and to provoke thought, and to help you or guide you to even add to being the best version of yourselves that you already are. Just as Inga stated, we're worthy, you're worthy. Nothing, you don't need anything to make you, or you don't have to be qualified to be worthy. But my journey was, as a child, I had a very great childhood, awesome childhood. My adult life, how we get to be adults, the decisions we make, the roads we travel, the energies that we allow in and out, and it affects everything about us. But through it all, there was a reason for the experiences. It helps to grow us. It helps to strengthen us. It helps to elevate us. We all come for a purpose, and there's a reason that even today, that sometimes just walking in the room and somebody smiling at you can make all the difference in the world. No gesture is too small. No gesture is too big if it's what you're called to do, because what you have, somebody needs what you have. And so often we sit on our gifts. We allow situations and circumstances to cause us not to be expressive. But we come from a source bigger than ourselves. And so when we realize that it's not about us, it's really not about us. It's about the purpose that we have been called to do, and what is your contribution to this earth. And when you really think there's a bigger picture, no matter what you're going through, what your circumstances, your situation, your past, none of that really matters at the end of the day, because there is a bigger picture. You're part of that bigger picture. You are the part of the biggest picture that ever existed, right? And the power that we so often seek, the validation that we seek, the comfort that we seek, the joy that we seek, the love that we seek, it's already part of us. It's already within us. But we have been conditioned and programmed and taught to look outside of ourselves. And when we look outside of ourselves, especially these days, we don't see very many things that make us feel good. Most of the things that we see with our natural eyes, right, or that we hear with our natural ears, they don't make us feel very good, because the world that we live in today, the big picture, right? But then knowing that there is a greater picture, even a bigger picture than what we can see. And so when you go within, everything that has been planted, placed, and that you're a part of, because although we're here on this earthly plane, we still have an invisible, spiritual, energetic umbilical cord, right, if you will, that's connected to a source greater than us. And that umbilical cord feeds us continuously with love and joy and peace and happiness and all the things that we cannot see with our natural eyes or hear with our natural ears or feel sometimes in our physical bodies, right? But just going within, knowing that you're never disconnected. The Bible talks about that there's nothing that can separate us from the love that exists outside of this realm, right? So when we truly get to an understanding to believe that absolutely nothing and no one, no circumstance, no situation, no illness, no ill feelings, even though we may feel disconnected, you're never disconnected. We're always connected. We're always connected. There is a universal law of one. There's oneness. And no matter how different we may look, how different we may sound, where our backgrounds, what's back there, but we're all led to one common place, one common source, a divine source. And so through this daily routine of living and trying to love and just trying to make it and trying to survive and trying to be loved to others when others may not love you the same, trying to get along when others don't have a desire to get along with you, trying to just be the best that we can be in this difficult time that we're living in. Go within, because what you're seeking, you will not get to the full fruition of it because it's within you. It's already been placed there. You're already connected. And by being connected, just know that the pipeline doesn't get clogged, right? Sometimes we just have to open our mouths to come to that agreement. This year, 2022, in numerology, it's a year of agreement, right? Of partnership, of networking. That means that not only should we be doing that and of nurturing, not only should we be doing that in our physical and with one another, but it's also the year to get connected or reconnected with whatever you believe that lifts you, whatever source, whatever you call God or Mother, Father, God, or the universe, or Yahweh, Yeshua, the I am, whatever that divine source is to you. It's an individual thing. This is the year to reconnect, to partner, because there are some greater plans that have already been established for our lives, for your life, that you may not have even seen yet or heard or know about yet. But when you are always just on this level where we are, what we can see, what we can hear, what we feel, what's going on, it's so much, the energy is just so low compared to the frequencies that we need to tap into here in order to connect there. Right? So it's a vertical plane first before we can actually give out to others. And especially as women, we're naturally nurturers. And we have this habit or this way of always helping, trying to fix, trying to rearrange, trying to change, trying to make it right. And, our words are powerful. The divine feminine is very powerful. And this is the year to rise up. But it is very difficult to give from an empty cup. And so often we give daily from an empty cup. Well, this is the time to allow your cup to be filled and refilled and cleansed and purged and rise up in the power of who you were created to be. You weren't created just to put out fires, should I say, and fix everything that needs to be fixed. We have the power to do that. However, we are co-creators, right? Which means that we came from a source that created us, and everything that we need, everything that is required of us to give and to help heal the earth and to help encourage somebody, to pray for somebody, or whatever it is that your gift is, or that you're called or led to do, you're equipped to do that already. It's just tapping into it and getting into it. But it starts from each individual person, from self. Is your cup empty and you're still on reserve, waiting for more to come into the cup so you can pour it out? We have to allow our cups to be filled. When our cups are filled, then the grace, we feel more of the grace. We feel more of the love. We feel more of a refreshing. We feel more empowered. We feel more confident in what we're doing. We are more effective in what we do if our cups are filled. But when we continuously working, trying to give from an empty cup, then we're not giving all that we really could give. We're not reaching our full potential, because I'm just going to give you some of what I have. It sounds good, but everything that is a good thing may not be the God thing, or may not be the timing. It's okay to just be silent and observe sometimes. It's okay to know that every assignment is not your assignment. It really is okay, because to everything there's a season, right? And to all things there's nothing new under the sun. So what has the things that I've gone through and come out of, if it has happened for me, it will happen for each and every one of you. It was not easy to go through some of the things that I went through as an adult, but I've learned in my years of living that there's something called the law of rhythm. And the law of rhythm states that to everything there is a rhythm. The pendulum swings left, it's going to go back to the right. It's going to go back to the left. It's going to go back to the right, right? If it goes up, it comes down. As above, so below, as in, without, right? And so the law of rhythm, the cycles of life. The law of rhythm talks about the cycles of life. The ebb and the tide of the ocean. The tide goes out and the tide comes in, right? That's just how life is. And the cycles of life that we go through, there are changes and phases, and there's a rhythm. And in this cycle of life that we live, there are times that just don't feel good. There are experiences that we have to go through, and they're not meant to break us. They're not because we're not loved. Those experiences are meant to show us the power that is within us, the power that walks with us. We all have, I believe, guardian angels that come into this earth realm when we're born. We all each have our own individual team, that when it looks like nobody else is on your side, when you're all alone, that you have a team in the spiritual realm that's right there cheering you on and giving you guidance. You know, those little whispers that you hear, that gut feeling that you feel, the dreams that you have that you may not understand. That's your spiritual team giving you some direction, giving you some encouragement. And so when we begin to tap into that and just leaving this physical plane, going within, tapping into those things that we know that can take us higher than what we can see, then that's when we will begin to move forward. When you feel stuck, you ever felt like you were just stuck sometime, like you were stuck in the mud? You know, like there are times when I have on rain boots and I'm going out there to see about my dogs and it's muddy, and I step into that mud and it's really hard getting that rain boot out of that mud, right? And I'm looking around thinking, I got to get out of this mud because nobody's around. If I fall, nobody's going to know I'm out here. I don't have my cell phone. You know, I've been in that position. And when I think about that, That's just how we get in life sometimes. Sometimes we don't intend to get stuck. It's not our intentions. We don't realize that we're going to get stuck as deep as we are. But there are times in life as you're walking along your journey that, let's face it, sometimes we get stuck. And when we're stuck and we're doing the very best that we can to get up out of it. And if I move too much this way, I might fall. And I'm not sure if I should just try to find something to grab a hold to. In life, things happen where we get stuck sometimes. But when you get stuck, if you take some time away from the situation, because our thoughts and ways are not the same as the thoughts and ways of our great divine Mother, Father, God, right? And so when we take time to just stop and breathe and ask with our mouths for direction, ask for something to get me out of this stuck place. And before you realize it, just something inside will tell you what to do, or it might just say, try it again. And you might say, well, I've tried it several times. You ever tried something over and over again and it seems like it's still not working? You don't know what to do about it. You prayed about it. Nothing has changed. And you realize that, maybe I should not be praying for the situation to change. Maybe there's something in this for me that I'm changing and getting a different perspective in the situation. Amen. And so when we try to fix stuff and change things and want it to work this way and want it to work that way, and we can just see it and we know, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. I know this is the one and that's for me and it's supposed to work this way and that way, and it doesn't always work that way. That doesn't mean that you give up. That doesn't mean that you're not loved. It doesn't mean that you're not worthy. It just means you need to take some time and regroup. It's okay to regroup. It's okay not to appear perfect. But, we're programmed and taught that we have to look like everything is perfect. We have to smile like everything is good. And so many of us women, we smile and we look like we all have it going on. But on the inside, our hearts are bleeding and breaking. And we still haven't healed from some things that we probably should have healed from. We don't know what to do. And we are stuck from back there from what has happened. But yet we want to move forward. Our intentions are to move forward. We have intentions to go forward and to do this, that, and the other, but we just can't seem to get there. Well, we can't seem to get there because there's some invisible cords that we're still connected to that have us tied mentally, spiritually, energetically, we're still connected. So until we cut those cords, right? Only then will we become unstuck and be able to move forward. But we have to be willing to change and allow change and to go with the rhythm. We're talking about the rhythm still, going with the rhythm of change. I'm going to tell you, we have these different cycles. We're talking about the rhythm and the change, right? And so it's when you think about the butterfly and the metamorphosis of the butterfly, the changes that the butterfly goes through. Not only are the changes chemical changes, physical changes that are visible to everybody, right? But we go through changes, mental changes, physical changes. Lord knows physical changes, right? And those things that we have to adjust to, it's not easy. And then just changes that life brings us. Recently, my daughter, I have a daughter who has two sons, and my daughter has, for the most part, after she graduated college several times and was married and had her children, she committed to being a stay-at-home mom until both of the boys graduated, right? Well, we all got accustomed to her always being at home, always being available for all of us, for anything, right? And she kept her commitment. Well, the youngest one turned 18 last year, graduated. He's working, and all is well. So she decides to take a job. Oh my goodness. We all hate it. She decides to take a job. The boys are like, but we just used to being home. Husband is like, oh. And I'm like, you can't even come and pick me up. You're working. You're not off, And so these are changes that we have to adjust to, but it's the rhythm, right? If you've had children and you're bearing a child, your body goes through changes. Your mind goes through changes. Your hormones change. Your attitudes change. By the time that baby is ready to come, you want to kill anybody that comes in your way, right? And they're telling you to breathe, and they're telling you this, and then the daddy wants to hold your hand, and you're like, oh, just get this baby out of me, right? Changes, right? When you're used to your child being a toddler, and now that child is no longer a little baby or a toddler, and that child wants to be independent and doesn't need you as much, that's a change. That's another rhythm, right? Another cycle. Then when it's time for that child to go to school, and oh my goodness, when that child graduates high school. And what about when all the children are gone and you become suddenly an empty nester, right? What about when you may be left alone, whether it's from divorce or becoming a widow or whatever it may be, if you are retired? All of these changes, cycles and rhythms that we have to adjust to all the time. You've been built for it. You were created for it. The natural rhythm is within you. If we take time to think about, okay, during this phase of my life, I got to switch gears. You can no longer drive in first gear if you are supposed to be going 50 miles an hour, right? If you're trying to get on 288, you can't drive the same as you can on this street. You'll get run over, right? So what I'm saying is, in the rhythm of life and the cycles of life, you must be able to go with the flow in order to maximize the experiences and to get the elevation and the growth that's really been planned for you, right? It's no mistake or no surprise to God that these things happen to us when they happen and we get thrown off our course. You may feel like you're off course, but you're right on course. You're right on course. I've gone through many things. The loss of a child when he was 15 years old in an accident. I did not think that I could ever be in my right mind ever again. Didn't even want to live. When I would wake up and think, oh, I'm awake again without, that was a big change. A rhythm that I did not easily flow into. But I did. I couldn't do it on my own. Not my own strength. Not my own power. What happens is we get caught up being so busy in control. I got to be control over this, over that. We're control over our households. We're control over whatever our positions, our jobs, our time, whatever they are. We have control over our part of our world, basically, right? But there's some things that we have no control over. But you don't have control over some of the things. But what we do have control over is how we allow ourselves to react, to respond, what we expect to receive. There's got to be a reason. What's the lesson in this? In my mind, I was like, God, what kind of lesson are you trying to teach me with my son at 15, a car accident, and blah? What lesson is this? That's where I was. What lesson is this? Well, it wasn't so much of a lesson. I got caught up in, there's got to be a lesson. It wasn't so much of a lesson. That was already ordained to take place. There was a contract that was created long before he or I even came into this realm, right? And so I had to accept that all of our journeys are different and there are different times. Our lives are like a day. When you think of a day, you have the morning, the afternoon, the evening, and there's night where we rest, right? And so some of our days are shorter than others. And when I got that revelation, but what none of us know how long it will be before it's time for us to rest. But while we are awake and can work, that's when we should do our best and do the best work that we can with the best love that we can and all that we can to recognize that we have a purpose. My son did a lot more in his 15 years, and I'm still trying to work on it, right? So it wasn't about a lesson. It was just about the experience, and it grew me. Because if that had not happened, I would not have had the courage to know that nothing anybody could say to make me feel better. No music, no counselor, no therapy. It made me feel better just a little bit. But at the end of it all, what I had to do was go deep in there. Go deep in there and sit with me, right? And realize that me means that there's part of me that's in here that's a spirit that's greater, bigger, more powerful than me. So I challenged and said, if you really indeed live in me, I'm asking you to rise up within me and let me feel your presence. And it happened. After that happened is when I accepted my calling to pastor and to minister the faith. If that hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't have done it. So there's always something that you can find that's a reason. It may not be a lesson. It just may be something that's supposed to happen to get you further along your road or your journey than you should be. But again, we're talking about the rhythms and the cycles of life, right? Moving along, when I became a widow and had to retire and diagnosed with cancer, still in cancer treatment, right? I don't have the energy that I used to have. I can't do things as well as I used to have. Losing most of my eyesight. I definitely can't do the things and go. But I'm learning the rhythm and the cycle of it. There's still joy in my life. I still feel the presence of God in my life. I still desire to share love with other people. We have choices that we make that we could either be bitter or we can be determined to be better. And when we make a decision to be better, then everything in our world is better. We give our energy to the things that we probably shouldn't sometimes, right? And then the things that we should, we don't. And we allow others' energy to come and weigh us. You ever felt like you get a phone call from some people and you're feeling really good, and then when you hang up the phone, you're like, oh. Like they just came and dumped their trash, right? And not that it's trash. That's just the word I'm using. Because they really have legitimate reasons, but you happen to be that one that you don't get to say anything. You just listen. Boom, 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 boom. And then goodbye. They feel great. You're drained. All you want to do is take a nap. You might become cranky and grouchy because their energy has now, you're wearing it now, right? Or you ever feel really good and you walk into a room and like, whoa, right? Or the opposite. You're not feeling so well and you walk into a room and you feel, oh, so warm and I feel the love and right? That's that exchange of energy. But knowing how to adjust and finding your flow in the rhythm of life, in these different cycles of life, is so extremely important. And that means that we cannot be led by this physical thing or the thoughts, because our minds are powerful. Our minds will tell us and lead us to do some things that we know that we shouldn't. Our minds will have us to say some things that we know we shouldn't say. Our minds will have us not to do some things that we know we really should do it differently, right? So we may not have control over everything, but we do have control over our thoughts. We have control over this tongue, right? We have control over where we walk, who we walk with. There are some things that we do have control. Don't spend so much energy give so much energy to the things that you can't control. But put that energy in the things in your world that you can control. Remember, you're trying to become a better version of who you are. That's the expectation. Every day I wake up, I am better today than yesterday. I feel better today than yesterday. I see better today than yesterday. I love more today than yesterday. If we would just begin to find whatever affirmations fit you, whatever scriptures fit you. You know, I have been in a place, I've been through so many things. I am a woman who was at one point the verge of suicidal thoughts. Didn't think that I can make it. We have to be very careful how we judge others. You never know what another person may be going through, what shoes they may have on at that time. And so we have to be careful about, oh, I would never do that. Oh, that's horrible. As horrible as it may be, rightfully so. But you never know that our minds are powerful. Our minds can tell us to go left or right. And where the mind goes, we're going. We're doing. We're saying, right? And so learning the rhythm, the cycles, how things flow in your life, it's so very important. Recognizing that you're not the all-powerful, the almighty, the I am. You are an extension of God. You are a part of the universe, but not the universe. You are not the great I am, but you are yet whatever you say you are. And you're that because of the connection. Remember that umbilical cord I talked about that was never cut and will never be cut. And so no matter what time of day in your life that you're in or your journey, just know all along the way, you were never alone, you are never alone, and you will never be alone. But just know that when you do your part, the rest of it has already been set in place. When the tide comes in and goes out of the ocean, nobody have to go out there and put a mechanical device to make sure that the waves come in at the right time or go out, right? It just is. In our lives, there's not anything that we have to do to make ourselves breathe, right? It just is. It's just given to us. Our heart beats because that means there's another day that we've been given. And so we have to make the most of each and every day, each and every hour, every minute, every second to make sure that we are pleased with what we've done. So at the end of the day, you can lay down in peace and feel like I've done my best today. Your best may not always be perfect in your eyes or the eyes of others. But if you've given it all you've got, That's all that's expected of you. We also have this habit, instead of going with the flow or just being, we try to change the order of things, right? And I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but say, for example, myself. I'm going to speak for me. I am almost 62 years old. And so I am not growing old graceful, happily or what. I'm just not. I can admit that. I'm just not. I'm just not. I think gray hairs are beautiful on other people. But mine are just not growing in right to me. Everybody else is just so beautiful, and that silky silver, I think it's gorgeous. It shows wisdom, and it's just so, I don't know, it's sparkly. But on me, it's like, oh. Everybody else just looks really good in certain things. I put it on, oh, right? I was always very, very thin until menopause. Menopause hit. I didn't go with that flow very easy either. Right? So I'm still learning to go with the flow of, I don't have as much energy as I used to. I'm used to walking these 5 miles in the morning, 5 miles in the evening, and just going. Whenever I want to get in the car and go, I just go where I want, when I want, whether it's night, morning, whenever. I can't. I'm still accepting, girl, you got to go with the flow. Get in this rhythm of life where you are. Get into the cycle and just be and just enjoy it. Stop looking back on what was. It was good then, but that's over. It's done. When we can, and I encourage you, because I'm still walking that too, right? To accept right where I am. The situation, how it may be, the circumstance, how it may be. People have gone, people have come and gone, whatever I'm feeling. But you know what? I am learning to embrace each and every minute and just be. If people don't accept me how I am, it's okay. If friends have gone on, it's okay. If you can't walk that 5 miles, it's okay. If I drop something on the floor and it has to stay there until I sweep or get somebody to come look for it, it's okay. If my house is a mess and I just don't have the energy to clean it, it's okay. You're okay. We beat ourselves up and we use energy. Like, it has to be this way. It has to be that way. I came to a revelation just this weekend. It's like, why do I have this block of writing this dissertation? Why can't I get it? Why can't I do it? Why? I have this block. I don't know. I've been trying. And so a friend of mine, she says, well, the first thing is you got to stop saying that you can't. I kept saying, I can't get it. I can't do it. I can't hear anything. Stop saying you can't. Stop saying you can't. Even if you don't believe you can, just don't say anything. But don't say you can't, because that's the energy that you're putting out to the universe that I can't. Sound like a broken record. I can't. And guess what? I haven't been able to do it, but I've been speaking that I can't. Right? And so I was like, bing, a light bulb went on. Something so simple that I know that I teach. I teach it, but I wasn't walking it. And it was like, whoa. Then the next thing, I'm also a retired math and science teacher, right? And so I'm used to everything being in order. A, B, C. 1, 2, 3. House in order. This in order. Everything in a place. Writing. Just all these things. That's just, what I'm used to. Well, guess what? This is a season and cycle of my life it ain't that way, y'all. It ain't that way, right? And so she says, well, because there were times, I'm used to being in school and I didn't have to study much. I was just gifted in that way. Things would come natural, right? And then I'm used to, if I had to write, I wrote for other people. I collaborated on a book. I have many manuscripts that is just sitting with dust on them. But I'm a writer. And so with different things happening, with becoming a widow and then cancer and then the eye loss and just boom, 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 I felt like a storm that was continuous, was sent my way and was never going to end. But it was all different cycles of adjustment and me forcing me to know that if you find your rhythm, even in a storm, if you find your place, even in a storm, you're going to ride the storm out. You're going to come out of it. But when you're fighting against the wind or trying to recreate something to stop the storm or run from the storm or hide from the storm, just be and let it pass. It'll pass. But finding more of who you are while you're in that place, right? And so she said, well, you're used to just writing and you just go for it and you just write. Yeah, it ain't happening. She says, how about this? Maybe this is something different that, is happening for you right now. I said, I guess, because it ain't happening the way it usually happens. She said, how about just write all these thoughts that you have, because you have it there, and then worry about or putting it, don't worry about the order of it. Just write it. And then go back and categorize it and put it in the order that you want. Bing! Another light bulb. Something so simple. But sometimes it takes, that's why we're in this 2022 year of agreement, partnership, networking, being willing to listen to wisdom from other people. What you need may not come from a package that you're used to it coming from. It may not come from a book. It may not come from the Bible. It may not come from your best friend. It may not come from your parents. It may come from a totally different way. Sometimes I have gone into a grocery store and been called to give someone a message that they just needed. I didn't know, but just being obedient, right? You never know where it comes from. You probably had no idea that hopefully something I'm saying is something that you needed to hear, that you didn't think it was going to come from me today, but hopefully it helps, right? I didn't think that phone conversation, that's something I've been trying to do for months, that she would just say something so simple that we already know, but it's something just to remind us or kickstart us again, right? And she said, just write. Just do what you do. Just write. Don't worry about the order that it's in or how it's coming to you. Just write. And I said, that makes a lot of sense. But I'm so giving so much energy to, okay, I want to do this part first. And if I can get that part, like I couldn't go to the next page or the next chapter unless I did the first chapter first. Sometimes you may have to go to the end of the book and then go back to the beginning and then do the middle. So you just have to go with the flow and find the cycle that you're in. Recognize the cycle or the phase of life that you're in and just find your spot in that. Find your peace in that. Find where there's joy in that to some extent, even if it's not a joyful situation. But remember, joy comes from within. Find that spot within you and just be. And the rest will just flow. It'll just flow. I've learned that with the things I've gone through, you would think. But I guess I have a hard head because I'm still having to repeat and learn it even more at different phases of life. I'm learning that sometimes I have to wait for people to come and pick me up. I can't just, at first I would be like, oh, so frustrated and, I like doing this way and that way. A voice said, girl, it ain't that way no more. It's just not that way anymore, right? With my daughter going to work, oh, you're not off anymore, so it's not that way anymore. There are things and times in life that we just have to go with it and make the best of it. It starts in our mind. I'm going to make the best of this day. I'm going to do my best today. I'm going to love today. I'm going to love me better today than I did yesterday. I'm not going to beat myself up the way I did before. I'm going to trust myself. Because when you begin to trust yourself, knowing that you are being guided and directed by a higher power, then you can trust yourself. But what happens if we've been taught and programmed to believe that, oh, you can't trust you because, you've messed up before. You made bad decisions before. I'm not talking about trust that human part of you. I'm talking about trusting what is housed in you. Trusting all of you. Not just the human part of you, but trusting all of you. Trust that you're grounded. Trust that you're safe. Trust that you're protected. Trust that you are a creative being. Trust that you are courageous. Trust that you are loved and that you are a lovable person. Trust that your words have power. Trust that you are connected and that you are a divine being. You come from divine. So therefore, you are a divine being. You just dwell on this side. And with that divineness within you, you have all the power that you need to overcome whatever it is that you may be struggling with, that may be in your thoughts, that you may be having a difficult time with. And just because you haven't gotten victory over it or been delivered from it yet, it doesn't mean that life is over. Oh, well, I guess, that might just be a thorn in my flesh and I'm just going to be disciplined enough to live with it. It's okay. Knowing that you are okay. Just as you are. Just as you are. Someone sent me a message the other day saying that, thank you so much for what you told me the other day. You have the most unique gift of anybody I've ever met in my life. And I thank you and I love you just as you are. That was so powerful for me because for so many years, I allowed myself to feel that people thought I was weird. They thought I was just so different, that I was spooky. People didn't want to be around me because I could see things and know things. And I didn't say everything that I saw and I know, but they just knew that I see and I know. And I'm not the God. I don't know everything. I don't hear everything. But there are things. So I began to feel so isolated because I felt nobody wanted to be around me because they thought, oh, we can be around her because she knows some stuff I don't want her to know. Seriously, she'll tell you. People they thought, I can't, And then I realized, and when she said that, and so I stopped doing what my purpose was. I stopped helping people and giving people messages. And then I had to realize, go with the flow and be led to who you're called, because everybody may not want to hear your message. Everybody, and that's okay. But there's somebody that healing will begin to take place if I'm obedient and just speak the words. Encouragement happens if I'm obedient and just say it. It's not for everybody, but being led. So when she said that to me, it empowered me to know that, okay, I give thanks. I don't have to just shut my mouth and just be to myself. I still do have a purpose. I'm still okay. I've lost sight, but I'm still okay. Had cancer, still okay. A widow, still okay. Daughter going to work, but I'm still okay. Right? I'm still okay. You're still okay. No matter what, you are still okay. You are enough. You are enough for whatever it is that you've been called to do. You have the strength, even though you feel that you're weak. You have the power within you to go for it, no matter what. No matter what. So my hope today is that you have been encouraged, enlightened, and had a little laughter to make you feel better in my talk today. Just know we're all learning to go with a new flow of life, a new cycle of life, a new rhythm after all the things that have taken place and still going on. We're constantly, everybody is adjusting. It's not just you and alone. And whatever you're going through or you're facing, you're not the first. You won't be the last. And I'm here to tell you, you're going to make it. All right? Amen.